So Chop, like, what is the main thing that you have in there? Because this podcast right now, we're going to be talking about social media and how it's perceived by inmates in prison. And for those that don't know, Pork Chop is doing 51 years. He's been down 19 years. And so to me, he's extremely intelligent. So I wanted to just get that feedback from someone who's in there of what social media, how they see it, because after doing 14 years and getting out, it's not what I thought it was. So can you kind of let the audience know how you see social media in there, or what you have?
All right. So, well, as far as like actual social media, I don't know shit about it because it wasn't out there when I was on the street. And we do not have social media in here because, of course, that's got to be connected to the internet. So I really don't know shit about it except what I see on TV. I mean, I know everybody's got like Instagram and hashtags and shit like that, and Facebook, Twitter. It's not Twitter anymore. But, so I know like the very absolute basics of it, but I really don't know shit about it for real.
So
as far as what connects us to the outside, how we communicate with people on the street, friends and family, we have these tablets, the GTL tablets, and there's a very shitty, very complicated app called Getting Out. And it's damn near fucking impossible for most people that I know to navigate it, but that's how we message, send videos and pictures and like greeting cards. It's like the greeting cards are already on there. Like we don't have we can't just go there and like select anyone we want, and they hardly ever change them. But yeah, we can send them for 10 cents. A message is 5 cents. A video is 10 cents, and a picture is 10 cents. So we're absolutely paying for services in here that y'all don't pay for on the street.
Right. And I could attest to the birthday card. You can go through them in 5 years. So if you're sending your daughter a video birthday card, or like it's just a picture of a birthday card, like that's it. You got 5 because they don't care in regards to that. So I will do a disclaimer here. So out here, which you're not really aware of other than when we talk, they have a lot of videos from inside there. And so when you get those videos, it's usually someone who got a phone in there, a cell phone in there, and they take these videos of what's going on in there. So, and the videos that are often shown is like some guy got into debt, they beat him up, and they're like showing the video. Just some real, if I was out here and I was a law-abiding citizen, I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, we can keep building prisons, because it's just it's usually young people that are in there. And I was like that when I was younger, like I was cruel, and they're in there and they're videotaping the cruelty, of specific cruelty, right? And that's what you see when you look on out here. At the same time, you got guys that have been locked up and they're out here and they got these prison channels, and all they want to talk about is, shankings, and this is the worst, and this dude got, ass raped over here. And it's just, you've been down 19, I did 20, Dale did 20, G. Frank did 35, Thor did 20 plus, 25 years. And I have a ton of friends in there, from trafficking to murder, and all of them will tell you the same thing. That is a rare occurrence. Even the getting stabbed is a rare occurrence. It happens, but it's a lot more violent out here than it is in there. People just don't understand that. So the purpose of prison and street life is to educate people out here to understand, like, prison is not what they're showing you. We're going to deal with it from the rehabilitation standpoint. So I just need to put that out there, because, like, you're saying you have it and that's all you have access to be able to see what social media is. And then people who are seeing these videos of individuals in there with cell phones, they think like we have access like that, and we don't have access like that. Sometimes you can get access, but you're always risking, your bit, which is the time you're there. So you could be comfortable doing your routine, working out and all of that, get caught with cell phone. Now you're in the hole and you're dealing with a whole bunch of bullshit. And so anyway, so with that said, go ahead.
My bad, bro. You got to edit that out. But I was just about to say, usually you're getting leveled up for some shit like that.
Right. Explain that.
For getting caught with the phone. Well, me, myself, I like, they bust phones here. I mean, and they busted them quite often, and then they won't bust one for, 6 months or so. And sometimes they'll shake a block down and they'll bust like, maybe fucking 5 phones. I've seen them bust upwards of 10 in a shakedown. Now, that's not real common, at least in the joint that I'm at right now. But I can only speak for where I'm at because I'm really not in contact with, definitely not in contact with people in other states, and really not in contact with anybody that's doing time around this state.
Right.
So I can only attest to tell you exactly what I see go on in here. And we're okay, basically call this October. So I got 20 in right now. We're at the end of this fucking year. So I got 20 in, and the last cell phone I held in my hand, well, the only cell phone that I ever had was the first generation Nokia that had the fucking like that shitty ass fucking hard the plastic fucking antenna that
I'm gonna point to it right here. This is the phone he's talking about.
Yeah. So that's the only phone. Now those sons of bitches were built to last. Yeah. I mean, I had that motherfucker fly out of a car doing like 30 miles an hour, and the bitch didn't even turn off. They were fucking, the motherfuckers were tough acting and acting for real. But
that's the first phone that you had. So
that's the first phone I had. The only cell phone I ever. Now picture phones had just come out, like where you could snap the picture or take like a 30 set like super grainy shitty video. Those had just come out. That was the last phone that had come out when I got locked up. I haven't seen a contraband phone in here. I've never. I mean, of course, I've seen like the COs with smartphones, and I've seen them on TV and shit, but I've never like held one in my hand. I've never even seen another inmate with a contraband phone.
So basically, okay, so now that's your experience with the social media. I just needed to clarify that. And also the people, and again, they say prison is a microcosm of society. In Arizona, where I did six years for bank robbery, the level of respect is a lot higher. Again, we talk about, they say, when a child molester gets on the yard, he's like punished. He's not in Ohio. He's not. And you could attest to that. Like, they got protection if you do anything to them. And so my point being with that is, that's as far as you get with social media. Now, anybody who uses those phones, the mindset in Ohio is like, fuck everybody else, right? On the yard. I don't know tough shit, just on some real maggot shit. Because when people do stuff like that, and they come in there and they search the entire block, right? I might just be bitten. I might be working with youngsters, trying to help them figure their lives out, whatever it is. And they come in there and they start fucking with my shit. So maybe they find something on me where I didn't expose myself to it, but they find something that I have, right, that I've done a good job in concealing, or that I have that just in general, benefits my bit and it's not harming anybody. But because they decide they want to use these cell phones and they want to like show out, and then it gets back, to the administration, they come in and now they fucking with other people's shit. That's the issue. When I say microcosm of society, it's the same thing out here. People have no problem being in your way, and you're just trying to figure some things out in life to make your life better. You're not harming anybody, but somebody fucks it up out here, and it causes everybody to kind of have to go through it. But anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there. So now so let me ask you this question. When it comes to rehabilitation, are these devices, the GTL, the whatever they give you, do they help make your bit, a bit being the amount of time, easier, or what would you want to do with that piece of equipment? What would you like to see happen with that piece of equipment? And do you think that they're utilizing it in the right way? Because it's definitely a multi-million-dollar industry, GTL.
Well, I want to go back for one quick second, and I'm not going to harp on this issue because it's nothing to be harped on, but the sex offenders here at the spot I'm in now, I'm basically in a super laid back old man camp. Yeah, they're absolutely protected, flat out.
Oh.
The first joint I was at, no sir. No sir. Those dudes, they got their fucking issues way more often than not. But once again, that was, I don't even know what's going on in that joint now because that was like 11 years ago that I was there. But
Right.
when I left, that place was absolutely off the goddamn hook, dude. It was getting pretty fucking bad. But here, not so much. And I'm definitely not going to be one of these dudes that's trying to pump fake. I'm glad I'm at a spot where I ain't got to look over my fucking shoulder like that.
Right.
That is some nerve-wracking, super fucked up way to live, dude. And I'm happy I'm out of there. I'll just say that. Now,
right, at least you admit it. Like, there's guys, I don't mean to cut you off, but there's guys who like make it seem like everything is like I was explaining it in the solo podcast that they call a camp cupcake. And then you got, so that's the softest, that's Martha Stewart, like really PC. Even though it's not PC, it's a very laid back place. And then you have the middle, which is where you're at right now, which is where I was at one time. And that's more like you could choose to focus on yourself, right? And if something, something could happen at any given time. And that, in Ohio, that's where a lot of the fucking, the looseness, where people can do things that hinder your fit because of the fact that the COs don't focus on them. They focus on everybody. So if one person does something, they want to punish everybody. And then you have the higher custody yards, which is what I was in Kaibab and, when I was out here. And that's where, like, this is the way we move. And if you go against that, then you put yourself potentially in harm's way. But even in those situations out there, sex offenders can maneuver as long as they stay out the way, or not. Or was it just crazy on that yard all the time with them?
Dude, so.
And I don't want to harp on it. I just want to be specific, though.
So, all right, man. So this one particular prison that I was at, it was for like 3 or 4 years in a row. It was the most violent in the state, and it was one of the most violent in the country.
Lebanon.
And Lebanon. Now, once again, I don't know what it's like there now, but it seemed like it was nothing to see 30 or 40 motherfuckers banging at one time. That was a fairly common occurrence. It wasn't uncommon to see a stomp out. And when I say a stomp out, like where a motherfucker ain't getting up and walk, like they're scooping him up and putting him on a board and calling an ambulance.
Right.
I've even seen a couple life flights out of there. I have seen stabbings. I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but they do happen there.
Okay, let me just stop that. So again, we're doing what this is really about social media. And so what we're doing is we're trying our best to clarify some of these things up. Out here, that's all they would talk about: the stabbings, the stomp outs, and that's it. In your experience, is some random dude getting stabbed, is some random dude getting stomped out, or
no,
right.
No.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
That's the point I'm trying to explain to people out here the differences.
All right, man. So let me put this into perspective, right? Anytime you're doing some shit like that, like you just mentioned, you are voluntarily fucking up your own bit. You're gonna be in the hole. You're gonna get a fucking security raise like no other. You stab a motherfucker, you're going to Lucasville or OSP. OSP is level 5. If you fuck them up bad enough, you're absolutely going to OSP.
and
You
get some
have
more time.
1 minute remaining.
I mean, it's really no different than like catching a case on the street. They're absolutely about to use your prior history against you. If you got a fucked up gang jacket, you could sneeze the wrong way and end up on the bus and loop.
Right.
Level 4 for the next, 5 fucking years.
But I want to.
It really. I got to call back anyways.
Yeah,
man.
call back. Call back right now. Okay, we're back with Pork Chop. I had to stop it because we only get 30 minutes of these phone calls, and I had to kind of talk to him early on. That's how we kind of do these podcasts. But in any case, so the one point I'm trying to make is that, again, we're talking about social media, is that what people see out here is not the norm in there. So you were explaining about people when they do those things, like they're gonna get their custody raised. There's repercussions to that. I think what I want to explain to them is, so the people that get stomped out, people that get stabbed, like the violence that happens to these people, these are not normal people. And that's really what I'm trying to convey out here, because it makes it seem like I'm in there just trying to do my time and I'm just walking, and then all of a sudden I get stomped out by 20 people. Like that doesn't happen. The person that got stomped out 9 times out of 10 deserves to get stomped out. That's all the point I'm making. Right. You understand what I'm saying, bro? Like,
I absolutely, bro. I'm absolutely right there with you. So okay. Prison is not like Mad Max fucking Fury Road, where it's just fucking balls to the wall, chaos, fucking carnage and blood and guts and shit everywhere. Right now, so of course it can get like that, and it does get like that, but it gets like that way worse on a much faster, much more crazy fucking scale on the street. Humans are a violent species, bro. We're going to be violent no matter where the fuck we're at. Exactly. But in here, when you're, if you're about to stab a motherfucker, stomp them out, if you're going to take it to that extreme, right, that's getting ready to happen. People have already tried to explore multiple other avenues, because you're going to be dealing with the ramifications for fucking years to come. It's no different than you fucking up on the street, you beefing with somebody, doing something bad, and then you catch 5 years for it. Well, okay, so in the joint, if you do something like that, you're catching a case for it, even if it's just an internal case, but you're about to deal with those consequences for 5 years, for 7 years. It all depends on your record and how bad and how far this person gets fucked up and how far you take it. So try to think of it like that. Like it's like catching a case within the prison walls.
No.
And you get.
What I'm saying is that's a perfect point to make, because they don't understand that out here. That there has been levels of attempts to try to reconcile it. That's why prison riots happen, because 2 races have gotten into it. But I can assure you, at the beginning state, they don't just say, today we're going to riot. No. It's this race, one of the race disrespected one of the other race. They tried to deal with it, but maybe the shot caller for this race is like, doesn't really know how to maneuver, so he don't give a shit. Like, it's whatever. And then this race over here says, okay, this is whatever. And then you're giving, you know what I mean? And so you'll have that. That's the extreme situation in prison. The other situation is like somebody came in and one-balled you, which in prison means they went in your box and they took one suit. Like, they're trying to do it so you don't see it. That person gets eventually caught. He might have went into 3-4 different people's. I'm talking about Ohio. In Arizona, that's not happening. Like, you're not doing that to another race. But in Ohio, which is not racially segregated, somebody stole, they one-balled you. They stole a suit, they stole this, and they've done it to a lot of people, different people. When that person gets caught, well, then he gets stomped out. Like, that's the only way to handle it, because it's a matter of respect. At the same time, you have to send a message. Anybody coming to do this shit, this is the repercussion. You know what I mean? So, like, I just want that to because, like, I've been on a yard where, like, they're really comfortable, and then something like that happens. Like somebody throws a bunch of hot baby oil in somebody's face and melts their face. And I ain't gonna lie, for me, having done time in multiple states and seen that upper tier violence, when it happens, you have all these guys who are sitting in there, like thinking life is sweet, and then all of a sudden they got a look on their face like this shit, it can really happen. And there's probably, and in a sick way, there's a little joy for me, like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm glad you got a understanding that life can get this serious. Now sit the fuck down and stop being in people's way. So I hate to bring that on that tangent, but that's the main point, is that the people that get fucked up in there over that shit, 9 times out of 10, they deserve it. So,
Oh, it's nine times out of 10. Not only do they, I don't want to say deserve it. I guess I could say that, goddamn, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess they provoked it to a point that they provoked a reaction. They started a situation, and it got to the point where it could not be ignored. I mean, I'm never going to say that, fuck, man.
No, I'm going to say it. Here's the reason being, I'm going to say why they deserve it. It's because you got the same shit out here, bro, where people do things. Let me tell you something. Violence is a language. It's a language, and it speaks clearly when it is spoken. And the reality is there's a lot of fucking people out there, they only understand one language, and that's the language of violence. And what I mean by that, it's on both sides. Like, you do, if you're a maggot, you're a scumbag, and you're doing scumbag shit, you don't understand the language of reason. But you understand when you get stomped out and your eyeballs hanging out. Like, I hate to say it as bad as that is, but it will change them. You're really helping them. And I know people out here are going to look at that like it's crazy, but you're really helping them to understand, like, life could get that serious. Out here, bro, you got people that just talk so much shit on this internet, and there is no repercussion. There's cell warriors in there. So, again, when they're showing, I'm telling you, bro, it's like that out here. These motherfuckers. And the sad part about it is you see convicts that get out and they get drawn into this. They're doing the same thing. They're like talking about, Sordano's talking about Nathaniel, Sordano's, black talking about this, white talking about this, Hispanic talking. And it's like none of this shit you would do on the yard. But out here, the freedom of being, the anonymity of it, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have a problem. And it just blows my mind. And in the meanwhile, you're promoting all this negative shit, which is giving them more reason to be able to build and fund prisons. Your homies that are doing like you, who my goal is to get the fuck out of there. Like, I have to think about you and how I'm presenting shit out here. Because am I giving the powers that be justification to keep you in there? I'm trying to help everybody that's in there right now, except the sex offenders. I don't give a shit about them. Just telling you, I told you this in the other podcast, I don't care. Go to someplace else if you're trying to understand, if you're trying to fight their cause. But outside of that, everybody that's in there, I'm trying to make it better for them. So when you're out here and promoting that shit and it looks horrible, all you're doing is making people feel comfortable getting taxed, continuing this prison industrial complex. Okay, so I'm stepping off the soapbox. So now you establish that the people that got stomped out 9 times out of 10, well, you ain't saying deserve it. I say deserve it. Maggie, you don't reward a coward. Just saying. So with that said,
I'm not saying. I'm definitely not saying reward a coward or condone some scumbaggery shit, man. I just, I don't know, man. To say somebody, I understand why it happens. I'm in the belly of the fucking beast.
Yeah, you are.
I see bad shit happen, and I get why it's happening, man. You can't tolerate a fucking thief being in the dorm, being in a cell block. I get that. Can't happen. But it's to me, dude, it's just a horrible fucking thing, dude. I guess I'm trying to say I get bummed out that it has to come to that point.
Right. I get
that I'm watching humans do this shit to each, and I'm just like, God damn, dude, like, fuck, man, I ain't got the answers. I'm not gonna pretend to be smarter or wiser than I fucking am. I'm a fucking retard, really. But it just bums me out, dude, to see some shit like that. And I can't see social media, but dude, to see what I consider my fucking brothers, we all did time, whether I met you or not. You're getting out, and you you have a means to communicate with the public, to not do something constructive, to try to shut this shit down, to try to help the motherfuckers that are in here. Me personally, I think that is like the only reason to be on social media.
Man.
The only thing that's even worth drawing attention to. It's I don't know, and reinforcing a negative stereotype. I mean, God damn, it's a free country. Motherfucker can do and say whatever they want.
Right.
I guess I'm just trying to say that I wish that more people would choose to do and say things to expose this shit for what it really is.
Right. You're right on point with that. You're right on point with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the main thing. It's when you're presenting, it was because here's the thing. The politicians do that. Like, one guy gets out, and again, we'll deal with this Goldsby because he's the best example of that. He went in there. He what the hell? Do you remember his first name? I can't remember his first name. But anyway, okay. So I'll look it up and I'll put his picture up there. But so Goldsby gets out. He went in there. I don't know if you remember exactly how old the first person. Can you explain what you know? Because I could look it up and go over it. I've heard it many times.
All right. So I'm going to try to make this real quick. But before I do it, I just want everybody to understand the whole goddamn law in Ohio. Everything got changed because of what one motherfucker did.
Right.
I don't see how that makes any fucking sense. There's no logic, no reason behind that shit at all. It was a knee-jerk reaction for someone to say, I'm tough on crime. Fuck criminals. I'm the shit. Vote for me. That's what that shit's about.
Right.
So, having said that, this is some heinous shit that I'm getting ready to say. So, this dude, he kicks a fucking door in, and to the best of my knowledge, and this happened years ago, so maybe I'm not exactly 100% accurate on everything. You'll have to double check this shit. But basically, this dude kicks a fucking door in, attempts to rape this chick. I believe she was older. She fights him off. He leaves. He goes and kicks another door in, and this time he beats this woman within an inch of her life and rapes her in front of her 4-year-old son. This dude gets picked up. He does 6 years. 6 fucking years for all. You got people, at least in Ohio, it's happening all over the country. They're doing more time than that for stealing a car or a fucking PlayStation. So this dude is doing 6 years for some of the most heinous shit that a person can do to another human being. He comes to prison. He is a well-known and active homosexual. I was not at this joint with this dude, but according to what the news was saying, and according to what I had a bunkie that was at Warren, which is right across the street from Lebanon, that was there with this dude, and he was an active homosexual. And not that I'm dogging homosexuality or that community or anything like that, but this dude's in prison for raping women. He was attracted to females on the street. When he went to prison, there were no women to rape. So he started pursuing relationships with other gay men. He refused all sex offender treatment. He had flat time. He ain't got to see the board.
Right.
He ain't doing a life bit. So when they're coming to his door and trying to put him in classes, he's saying, fuck you. I'm doing 6 years. Fuck you.
No incentive.
He should never be doing 6 years.
Right.
I would really love to know what the judge and the prosecutor and the victims think about that shit, but that's neither here nor there. So this dude spends his whole time in prison, not doing any classes, not doing anything for rehabilitation, He's got a fucking sickness. He's resorting to the only kind of sex that he can have. It's dominating his mind. He's fucked up in the head. And I'm not a psychologist, but this is just my, this is the way that I see it happening.
No.
As soon as this dude is released, the very first thing, this is right after he's released. I'm not talking 5 or 10 years down the road. Right after this dude is released, he goes and rapes this beautiful, smart young woman that was a Ohio State student.
Right.
Had her whole fucking life
let me
in
stop
front of her, right?
Just hold that thought for 1 second. So I want the audience to understand. So this individual has walked through these steps. This girl he's talking about, and she was beautiful, and she had her whole life ahead of her. So if you have a daughter, if you have a sister, like, you can relate to that. So meanwhile, she's a child. She's growing up, playing on her bike, studying, whatever she's doing in the beauty of her life. She's on a collision course with this fucking piece of shit. Okay? So, and the state, which is supposed to protect her from motherfuckers like him, is lazy and incompetent, and they put him in a position. So he's in there, like Chop said, he's in there practicing furthering his sexual deviance. And trust me, he's by far not the only one. Like, we will just uncover all of this to explain it. So meanwhile, she's living her life, her family, her mom, her dad, they like have hope for her. She has hope for herself. She gets into college. She's doing, and here this fucking piece of shit, right, is walking through the steps, right, bypassing people doing life for smaller issues. He's just headed to the front door, and now he's really fucked up in the head, you know, like, because he's engaged in that aspect of things, untouched the entire 6 years that he was in there, because you can't touch them, because that's a hate crime. That's more charges. So now he gets out, and talk about the young girl, man. It's still so heartbreaking. It's been years and shit.
Man. So this beautiful young lady. She's an Ohio State student, so she's not fucking dumb. I mean, that's a very hard school to get into. She's very brilliant. And I forget what she was studying, but she's getting ready to start her life, getting ready to start her career, getting ready to fucking set the world on fucking fire, man, do her thing. And she comes across this piece of shit who beats the fuck out of her, drives her around to multiple ATMs, and rapes her multiple times. Eventually kills her. So this dude gets knocked. He gets arrested, and
he had an ankle monitor on when he did it. So, right?
I don't know if he did or not.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
I don't know.
All right.
So he does it, and the only thing that anyone is talking about is how this dude just got out of prison, right? And of course, all the local and the state politicians are like, we got to crack down. We got to get tough on crime. We got to do this. And they're talking about everything except the fact for how the fuck did this dude end up with 6 years for what he did? Because if you're keeping track of the amount of felonies that dude committed on his first case, whether it's either a burglary or a home invasion, at that time in Ohio, a burglary carried a maximum of 8 years. It's a felony too. If it was a home invasion, it would have been an F1, which carried a maximum of 10 years. Oh. Not to mention the attempted rape. I'm pretty sure that's an F1 too.
Yeah. I mean, that's 20 years plus just for those 2 crimes. And then the kid being there.
No. You're mistaken. That's like 20 fucking years on the first case.
Right. I'm just being broad because you add the kid being there. That should have been like another 10 years. Like, there's a ton. In other words,
the second one.
Well, no. I'm saying is, yeah, the first one, but when you get arrested, they're gonna charge you for all of those crimes. So they could have stacked it.
Absolutely, they are.
Right. So they would just what I'm saying is based on the stack. a stack alone between the attempted, the actual, and the kid, that's 30 plus years right there. Like
Oh
you
my
really,
God.
yeah.
At
So
least.
right. So we're on the same page. I'm just saying like they don't do them separate. They can do them together. Like this is what happened. And by the end of it, when you start going through the statute, now why they didn't do that a lot of times have to do with they're supposedly, they don't want to put the victim on the stand. They don't want to do this. I don't know how he got to 6 years. You know what I mean? But he got to 6 years, which is what I got for the armed robbery out here. You know what I mean? Like we got the same time. Matter of fact, I got a little more than him first because I had 8 years. But anyway, so he gets out and he does this. And they want to talk about the reform part of it. This is where all the politicians start jumping on the bandwagon and they're like, yeah, and you see that part of it, you get that social media out here. People that jump on the bandwagon and it doesn't matter what it is. And then all of a sudden everybody's hashtagging the shit, whatever. But so explain what's the repercussions. So we got 8 minutes. We explain the repercussions. So you get the politicians involved and they come up with what? And how does it affect other
Okay, so they come up with this shit called Reagan Tokes. It was named after the victim.
Right.
So this dude, he does this one thing. Everybody's in a fucking uproar. And it's understandable that people are upset. It was a heinous fucking crime. And the piece of shit should have never been out of prison in the first place. But rather than the reporters or anyone focus on the fact that this dude was even out. Like how the hell, or not that he was out, but the fact that he only got 6 years. Wow. This dude's plea bargain should have been like 20. And that's showing love on that kind of case. This dude didn't have the money for some high-powered attorney. No. Dude, he went in there and the state blessed this dude with a 6-year deal. A fucking monster. Meanwhile, after this fucking maggot motherfucker does this shit, now they're talking about we need to get tough. We got to do this. Well, wait a minute. Why weren't you tough with this fucking this sexual fucking predator, which is what he is? Why weren't you tough with this dude the first time? I mean, goddamn, how much more heinous can you fucking get? You beat a woman almost to fucking death in front of her child and then raped her in front of a fucking 4-year-old. And the only reason you did it to her is because the first potential victim fought you off. So no one is talking about that. So
we got 6 minutes left. So let's so what was the final repercussion and how did that affect the inmates today? The law and all of that.
Oh shit, man. My bad, bro.
Yeah, you're all right. You're all right.
So look, the Reagan Tokes Act, it basically enhanced all the sentencing guidelines, all of them. This dude did this shit and affected the whole goddamn state. And now, basically, even if you don't, the only way you see the parole board in the state of Ohio is with a homicide or a rape on a child under the age of 12. Everyone else is under what they call flat time. So what Ohio did was they went from determinate sentencing to indeterminate sentencing, which means now instead of like a case carrying a maximum of 5 years, they're going to give you anywhere. It'll be like 5 to say 8 or 5 to 9, whatever. And if you fuck up in prison, if you catch a case or not even catch a case, say you just get jammed up in too many fight tickets or you get too many wine tickets or whatever. Shit that ain't even against the law. It's just against the rules. Well, now, because of what this maggot motherfucker did, you got a dude that could be in here for, stealing power tools, say. And now he's going to get stretched out, another 3 or 4 years. That's what the Reagan Tokes Act did.
So they basically, in closing this up, and again, this is dealing with social media. This is not the shit you're seeing on these phones in there. This is the reality of a specific situation and how it affects inmates. We've covered a broad understanding of what really takes place in there, and ultimately that was the goal of this podcast, which is dealing with social media, what's presented out here and what's presented in there. So now you have these politicians in these law, the prosecutor, and all. That's all you hear about prosecutors this day, this day and age, between this race and all that shit. But this prosecutor said it's all right. Go ahead, like 6 years, they have to sign off on it. There's a lot of shit that goes into giving this dude 6 years based on what happened. They fuck up. He gets out and does this heinous shit. And now your remedy is to what? Punish everybody. The same way as the cell phones. Punish everybody. Instead of dealing with specifically with what the issue is. And ultimately, this is what we're trying to present at Prison and Street Life. To help you to understand. Now, you might not care, and I get that, you know what I mean? And so, there's nothing I'm going to say, or Pork Chop, or anybody that gets on this podcast is going to say that's going to change that. But for those who really want to try to understand prison reform, I believe, and we've talked about this, in absolute prison, it's incentive-based time. So where they're saying now you get 5 to 9, then you're out. I think something similar like that. But when you're dealing with a case like him, he should be the one getting the 20+ years, but he's not. And I can tell you, there's a ton of cases like that, and the majority of them are sex cases. They don't get what they're supposed to get because of the kid or whatever. So I just, in closing, we got 2 minutes and stuff, in regards to that. So basically, social media, what you see out here is not what is in there, and we'll cover a bunch of other stuff, Chop. I just wanted to get this podcast to just, let people know, like, what's going on out here is not what's going on. So, you got 2 minutes.
All right.
Close it up.
In closing, I would just like to say, anytime something like that happens, those in power who stand the most to benefit from the prison industrial complex, they're the same ones that are going to try to scare the public into believing that everyone that breaks the law, that everyone that catches a case is just as bad, the same, or worse than that maggot motherfucker we just got done discussing. And most people are not getting locked up for that shit.
Right.
Most people are committing drug crimes or economically driven crimes. They're breaking into a garage. They're stealing a car. They're robbing a fucking liquor store. Whatever. But the people in power, the politicians, they want you to believe that you're not safe to go outside. And
You have 1 minute remaining.
that you're not safe to go outside and pick up the fucking newspaper. It's no different than those dudes that you're describing that they post a fight video and you don't know any of the backstory behind it. They're not going to post videos of the 30 days before that where nothing happened at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?